Acting Speaker. I rise to speak to the Crimes Amendment Performance Crime Bill 2025, which creates a separate standalone offence for sharing footage or photos of crimes like carjacking, affray and burglary. After careful consideration and consultation, the Greens will not support this bill. As the Law Institute of Victoria has pointed out, the legal tools already exist to prosecute offenders for the crimes they commit, including when they share evidence of those crimes online. Offences such as robbery, burglary and carjacking already carry significant maximum penalties, including imprisonment. A magistrate or judge already has the discretion to take into account factors such as filming and publishing an offence. So this bill is unlikely to deter criminal behaviour. It simply introduces another layer of punishment. Under this bill, people found guilty of both committing a crime and then posting about it could face an additional 2 years imprisonment. The Victorian Aboriginal Legal Service has rightly raised concerns that this bill will disproportionately impact marginalised youth, particularly Aboriginal children who are already grossly overrepresented in our justice system. Legal experts across the board, from the Law Institute of Victoria, the Justice Reform Initiative and the Victorian Aboriginal Legal Service, all agree this bill is performative and unnecessary. It distracts us from the real solutions that we need to invest in. The government should be prioritising investment in wraparound services, in First Nations-led, community-led, culturally appropriate programs. Instead, this bill will increase and perpetuate cycles of incarceration rather than breaking them. And it contradicts the government's own stated commitment to youth justice reform. The Labor government claims to support diversion, rehabilitation and reducing youth incarceration. And in fact, they spoke about it at length. They spoke about this vital importance of this last year when they, with the support of the Greens, passed the Youth Justice Amendment Bill 2024. Now, this bill, this Labor bill, introduces new criminal offences for children. This bill is not the solutions to the problems that we face, but we have a problem with online-inspired and tech-enabled offending. In particular, there is a concerning rise in homophobic violence in Victoria, which is often filmed and shared. Emboldened through online platforms, offenders have lured gay and bisexual men through online dating sites like Grindr into secluded places, only to be beaten, robbed or extorted by groups of young men, sometimes teenagers. These attacks have been shared online to humiliate victims, glorify violence against gay men, to coerce or to blackmail them. It's cowardly, it's disgusting, and it's unacceptable. And these crimes are worryingly widespread. Even though they're typically underreported, there have been 35 arrests just in recent months in Victoria alone. We must work as a community and with the government to address and prevent these ongoing attacks from continuing any longer. But unfortunately, this bill is unlikely to affect the severity and frequency of these attacks. These young men who commit these violent attacks are already committing a crime. They know that assault and extortion are illegal. They know that they carry severe penalties. Filming and sharing a crime is already considered an aggravated factor when sentencing. And as abhorrent as it is, making a separate crime for filming the attack would be unlikely to be a further deterrent. And that's also only if the incident is considered a relevant crime under this bill. Most of these attacks are actually physical assaults, which is not considered a relevant offence and so wouldn't actually be captured by this bill. The bill also doesn't offer any direction on what rehabilitation looks like for this type of ideological, hate-fuelled offending. The courts aren't empowered to treat publication as a sign of deeper community risk or ideological harm, therefore cannot follow up with the rehabilitative needs that an offender might have. And while the bill criminalises some publication, it provides absolutely no protection for victims whose assaults are filmed and circulated. Victims of these crimes are often subjected to ongoing digital harm that the government could be preventing through better regulation of online platforms and victim notification mechanisms. We also have really poor tracking of prejudice-motivated crimes here in Victoria, which means that we can't properly analyse and respond to rising trends in our community before they get out of hand. Speaking with members of my community, which is beautifully diverse and proud and unapologetically queer, the victims of these crimes really want these crimes to be stopped before they happen, in the first place, by addressing the root causes. Because these attacks have not happened in a vacuum. They are part of a coordinated rise in homophobic, neo-Nazi, racist activity across the state. These far-right extremists have targeted trans people, gay people, black people, Muslims, Jews and refugees. From the Grampians to Preston, from Ballarat to the CBD, we have seen this rise in aggression coming from afar. And that's why back in 2019, the Greens put up an inquiry to investigate this rise of far-right extremism so we could stop it at its source. And yet, as these attacks become more frequent and more brazen, we are still to see meaningful action from the government in response to that inquiry, which recommended investment in youth work designed to prevent the radicalisation of young men and teenage boys that leads to this kind of hate-fueled offending. Statewide anti-racism, inclusion and diversity education across schools. The kind of investment in social support and education that could have stopped these crimes from happening in the first place. The government claims that these post and boast laws will deter people, and it is not backed up by any evidence. There is no clear evidence that prosecuting people for what they post online prevents crime or improves community safety. Similar laws in New South Wales and Queensland have not provided any proof to date that these laws stop people from committing, filming and posting about crimes. What the existing evidence does show is that, and we have decades of evidence for it, is that pushing people, and particularly young people, into the criminal justice system sets them up to be further enmeshed in crime and the criminal system. Early interaction with the criminal system significantly increases the likelihood of reoffending. It does not help them break the cycle, and it does not help make this community safer. Rather than deterring young people from committing crimes, this bill risks pushing them deeper into the system, which further criminalises them and re-traumatises them. The Greens are committed to an evidence-based justice system that focuses on reducing crimes and improving safety by raising the age of criminal responsibility and investing in prevention, education and rehabilitation. Reforms that tackle the root causes of poverty, trauma, unstable housing, lack of education, social disconnection. Criminalising young people for posting their actions online does nothing to address these root causes. And that's why the Greens oppose the Crimes Amendment Performance Crimes Bill 2025. This proposed legislation is nothing more than a tough-on-crime theatre. It distracts from real reforms backed by research and frontline experts. It will do nothing to improve community safety. Instead, it will further criminalise young people, disproportionately impacting Aboriginal communities and undermine the government's own stated goal of reducing youth incarceration. And while we know this bill, while we oppose this bill, we know that it will likely pass because Labor here in Victoria are working in close partnership with the Liberals when it comes to locking up kids and feeding our already overinflated prison system. And this is just one in a suite of performative, undemocratic, downright dangerous changes from this Victorian Labor government. Regressive reforms like new bail and anti-protest laws that go against the grain of justice. We call on the Victorian Labor government to reconsider this ill-conceived bill and focus on real, evidence-based solutions to prevent crime, to support young people in their rehabilitation. The Greens will continue to fight for a justice system that focuses on care and support, not punishment.